about hope a lot. And out of necessity, the odds of me standing here before you today are very slim. I was born to a teenage mom. My father left when I was 2 years old. I was raised by a single mother with help from my grandparents. And they didn't have money, they didn't have fame or fortune. What they could give me was love, an education, and hope. And so I put hope on my signs. And I gave a speech in Boston, the Democratic Convention, about hope. And I wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. So it's interesting when I hear people then criticize this concept. They say, oh, you're so naive. The implication is that somehow to be hopeful means that your head's in the clouds, that you're passive. You don't have a clear view of things. You're just waiting for good things to happen. You're not willing to fight and struggle for it. That's not what hope is. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is not being ignorant of the barriers that stand between you and your dreams. Hope is just the opposite. I know how hard it will be to provide health care to every American. If it was easy, it would have already been done. I know how hard it's going to be to have a coherent energy policy. ExxonMobil made $11 billion last quarter. They're not anxious to change how we use energy in this country. I know how hard it is to alleviate poverty. I know how hard it is to improve our schools. I know because I fought on the streets as an organizer. I fought in the courts as a civil rights attorney. I fought in the legislature, and I've won some fights, but I've lost some too. I've seen good legislation die because good intentions were not enough, because they weren't fortified with political will and political power. I've seen how this country can be divided by fear, how 9/11 can be used as a way to scare up votes instead of a way to bring us together against a common enemy. I've seen how politicians can exploit our fears to make us afraid of each other, afraid of immigrants, afraid of gay people. I've seen how destructive, how corrosive fear can be. But I also know this, that nothing worthwhile in this country has ever happened except somebody somewhere was willing to hope. That's how this country was founded. A band of patriots decided to declare independence against a mighty British Empire. Nobody gave them a chance. It's how slaves and abolitionists resisted a wicked system, and how a new president was able to chart a course to ensure we would not remain half slave and half free. That is how the greatest generation, my grandfather fighting in Patton's army, my grandmother staying home with a baby, working on a bomber assembly line, that's how the greatest generation defeated fascism and Hitler and lifted itself up out of the Great Depression. That's how pioneers traveled west. That's how immigrants came from distant shores. That's how women won the right to vote. That's how workers won the right to organize. That's how young people traveled south to march and to sit in. And some were beaten and some went to jail and some died for freedom's cause. That's what hope is, Alexandria. That's what hope is.